Revealed. Millionaire's shocking outburst triggers employees' incredible, life-changing response. The aroma of freshly brewed coffee mingled with the sizzling bacon, filling the Maplewood diner with a familiar warmth on that lively Saturday morning. All around, laughter and chatter created a comforting atmosphere, a heartbeat of the community. But then, in the chaos of orders and clanging plates, disaster struck. Sarah stumbled, her tray wobbling precariously, and as caffeine hit fabric, gasps filled the room. A customer's face twisted in shock as his lap turned brown, and with that, the quiet morning turned explosive. Jack, the diner's owner and local millionaire, shot up from his seat, his face darkening like a storm cloud. "Can't you do anything right?" His voice boomed, slicing through the chatter like a knife. The space fell silent, diners frozen. Sarah, heat flushing her cheeks, felt every eye on her, a spotlight illuminating her frailty. Jack's harsh words dripped disdain, revealing the cracks in his polished image. Stumbling back, Sarah's heart raced a mix of embarrassment and simmering anger. As she ducked into the narrow back room, a wave of mortality weighed on her. She plopped down, pulling her apron tightly as tears pooled in her eyes. "It's just coffee," she whispered to herself, her voice quivering. She shared the small space with coworkers who were now her family, sharing dreams and heartbreak over grease-stained tables. "Sarah, don't let him get to you. You're doing your best," her friend Mia spoke softly. But Sarah felt the urge to open up. "I'm doing everything for them," she choked out, the words spilling like the coffee had. "My son struggles, my daughter needs hope. I'm just tired." The room filled with shared glances, nodding heads, gentle hands on her back, a chorus of understanding. Around the diner, whispers of support started to grow. "I saw how hard she works," a patron remarked, indignation simmering. Another chimed in, "Yeah, Jack has got to understand the real struggle." Patrons rallied, speaking of collaboration and resilience, values deeply etched in the fabric of Maplewood. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you could drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. The community's warmth enveloped Sarah, a stark contrast to the coldness of Jack's outburst. She felt hope sparking again. Yet, in the corner of the diner, Jack sat rigid, hearing the murmurs. Patrons departed, their discontent hanging in the air. The realization hit him hard. The gulf between him and those he relied on for success was wider than he'd thought. With a knot in his stomach, he faced the truth. Was he really superior, or had he become isolated in his wealth? As Sarah's heart swelled with community love, Jack faced the consequence of his actions. Would he step beyond his own insecurities, reach out, and help heal a fracture he'd caused? The stakes felt higher than ever, not just for Sarah, but perhaps for himself as well. As the dust settled, one question loomed: could a moment of forgiveness redefine their lives and the very diner they called home? The bell above the diner door jingled, breaking the tension that had thickened after Sarah's mishap. In an unexpected twist, a group of regulars' friends who had weathered many storms together started to rise from their seats. They whispered among themselves, their expressions turning resolute. "Let us not let him get away with this," one of them declared, slamming a fist softly on the table. The murmurs grew louder, a wave of solidarity rippling across the room. Sarah, still in the back, sensed something was shifting. Friends and familiar faces were no longer content to just observe. "Jack," cried Tom, the local plumber, rising to his feet. "You had no right to talk to her like that. Sarah's been here day in and day out, pouring her heart into this place while you sit back, counting your dollars." His voice rang clear, echoing through the diner. "Yeah, we all see how hard she works," another diner joined in, standing shoulder to shoulder with Tom. You wouldn't even have this place without people like her. You need to remember that. Jack felt a tightening in his chest. The voices of the community surged through him like a tide. He had spent years in a bubble of success, unaware of the warmth that came from connection and the harm his words could inflict. "Look, I'm sorry," Jack began, his voice faltering. He had intended to hurt anyone, but the weight of realizations overwhelmed him. This wasn't mere business to them. It was life. "You need to apologize to Sarah," Tom pressed, not backing down. Silence fell, anticipation thick in the air. Jack's mind raced. He could either retreat into his old habits or step into a new light. What would it take to melt the ice he had built around himself? The stakes felt suddenly personal, cutting deeper than mere professionalism. These were real lives at stake. With a deep breath, Jack pushed himself up, making his way toward the back room. Each step felt heavy, but he pressed on. The simmering anger in the diner, now directed toward him, served as an uncomfortable prompt. "Sarah," he called softly, standing just outside the door. She looked up, her tear-filled eyes meeting his. "Can I come in?" With hesitation, she nodded. Inside, the atmosphere shifted. Sarah, flanked by Mia and others, waited, their protective stance both inviting and hesitant. I need to say I'm sorry," Jack started, uncertain. "Why I said back that was uncalled for. You've worked hard all this time. I never meant to belittle that." Mia crossed her arms, clearly still skeptical. "And?" she prompted, challenging him to go deeper. "And I realize now how vital you are to this diner, to this community," he continued, the sincerity creeping in. "I've lost sight of what really matters, and I'd like to make it up to you, to all of you." The room fell silent. Sarah felt the warmth of the community behind her, and confusion danced in her heart. Could he really mean it? The sincerity in his voice felt shaky but real. "Community is built on respect," one of her co-workers spoke up. "You can't just expect us to forget the way you treated Sarah today." "I know," Jack replied, his voice stronger now. "And I want to do better. I can do better. I ask for your grace in this." As the air grew thick with emotion, Sarah had to decide. Could she accept this fractured attempt at healing? Was there room for forgiveness? The diner's silence hummed with possibility, someone whispering, "What if this was the start of something new?" Could it be? As newfound vulnerability flickered in Jack's eyes, Sarah felt the tension shifting, and hope began to grow. The path to transformation was opening. But would she have the courage to take the first step? With uncertainty hanging in the balance, the next moment seemed poised for change, for risks, and for connection. What would Sarah choose? The air buzzed with anticipation, thick and electric, as everyone waited for Sarah's reaction. She felt like she was teetering on the edge of a cliff, the ground beneath her shifting with every heartbeat. Her gaze flicked from Jack to her friends, searching their faces for guidance or maybe even approval. "Jack," she began, her voice barely a whisper, "I appreciate your apology. I really do." She swallowed hard, feeling the knot in her throat tightening. "But it's not just about today. It's about how you've made us feel invisible." It was a strong statement, one that hung in the air like a weight. The eyes of her co-workers widened slightly, surprised by her quiet strength. Jack looked taken aback, his brows knitting together in confusion. Invisible. The word echoed in his mind. He had always been too focused on profits and numbers, ignoring the heartbeat of the diner that had thrived because of Sarah and the others. I didn't mean to make you feel that way. I get it now, but I also know that saying sorry isn't enough," Jack admitted, his voice thick with vulnerability. "What else can I do? Please tell me." Sarah glanced at her co-workers, their expressions a mix of support and skepticism. They had each felt the sting of his words at one point or another, but seeing Jack's willingness to change sparked a glimmer of hope. Mia's stance softened just a touch, though she kept her arms crossed. "We need to feel valued, not just as workers, but as part of this place. We invest ourselves in this diner," Sarah spoke passionately. "We create the atmosphere that keeps customers coming back." "But you didn't see that." Jack shifted on his feet, aware of the eyes still on him, each second ticking like a ticking clock. What if I threw a community event? Something to celebrate you all in this place? No strings attached, he offered. The idea hung in the air, a delicate thread that could either snap or bring them closer together. A way to show appreciation for everything you do, he added quickly, wanting to convince them that he wasn't the man they once thought he was. Tom, situated in the corner, spoke up. A community event could be a start, but it can't just be a PR stunt. You got to show us you genuinely care. Absolutely, Jack replied, nodding firmly. I want this to be real. I need you all on board, and I promise to listen. We'll plan this together. The sincerity radiating from him was palpable, weaving its way through the uncertainty in the room. Slowly, Sarah allowed a flicker of hope to blossom inside her, tentatively pushing against the wall she had built for so long. Okay, she said, her heart racing. Let us talk about this event, but we'll take trust to make it work. Another wave of murmurs rippled through the diner, people genuinely considering Jack's proposal. There could be potential for change. Trust takes time, Mia added, her arms finally relaxing at her sides. You need to earn it after everything. I know, Jack said. His voice was solemn, yet fiercely determined. And I will. I will do everything to honor that. Sarah felt the warmth of those words. Perhaps this was a rare chance not just for Jack, but for all of them. If they could find a way to work together, to rebuild not just the trust but the spirit of the diner, it could transform the community even further. Just as they began to brainstorm ideas for the event, the diner door swung open again. The bell jingled, and all heads turned to see who had entered. A new face stepped in, a local journalist, carrying a camera, ready to write about this big moment. Suddenly, the energy shifted, and Sarah could see the buzz of renewed possibility blossoming into something larger than life. Are you ready for a story that could change everything? The journalist smiled, and Sarah felt her heart skip a beat. Was this what they had hoped for? A second chance not just for Jack, but for the entire diner? The perfect moment was stirring on the horizon, promising more than they had ever imagined. As they began to discuss their ideas in earnest, the air thickened with potential, and Sarah felt hope pulse through the diner once again. But would they truly be able to capture this opportunity, or would fear hold them back when it mattered most? The chatter in the diner grew louder, rippling through the small group like a wave. Ideas floated around like balloons, filled with hope and excitement. Sarah's heart thumped as discussions sparked and ignited, her mind racing with the possibilities that a community event could bring. Jack had cast a die, and now the whole diner was holding its breath, waiting to see how far they could go. Let us make it a potluck, Anna suggested, her eyes shimmering with enthusiasm. Everyone can bring their favorite dish. It'll showcase the diversity in our community, and we can invite regulars and newcomers alike. Great idea, Tom chimed in, leaning forward with interest. We can have a little contest, too. Best dish get a feature on the menu for a week. It'll feel like a true collaboration. The room began to hum with excitement, laughter punctuating the air as they tossed out suggestions. Sarah felt a warmth unfurl in her chest, a kind of unity she and T sensed in what felt like ages. Yes, this was exactly what they needed, a moment to remind themselves that they were more than just faces behind the counter. As Jack listened, his expression shifted from a hopeful smile to something more serious, weighted with an undertone of reflection. I'll help organize everything. We can handle the logistics, the setup, and I'll even bring a local band to play, he declared, his tone filled with sincerity. Sarah watched him, curious about what had shifted within him so quickly. Could it be genuine, or was it just the high of the moment? She felt wary, but didn't want to extinguish the spark that was igniting among her co-workers. Suddenly, the journalist cleared his throat, bringing attention back to the core of their gathering. This community event idea is fantastic, but I want to dig deeper. What is the real story here? He looked from Sarah to Jack, his expression probing. Yeah, what got you here? Mia asked pointedly, crossing her arms once again, as if daring Jack to answer truthfully. Jack opened his mouth and paused, glancing around at everyone's expectant faces. Honestly, I thought I had everything figured out, he began, Business was booming, but I lost sight of the people behind it, my team. I realize now that this diner is more than numbers. It's about connection. There was silence. All hung in the air, but a current of skepticism flowed beneath. Would he really change? Sarah mustered her courage. And what do you plan to do differently moving forward? Because words are just words without action. Jack's gaze locked onto hers, and there was a fierceness in his eyes. I want to put my focus on you, all the team that makes this place what it is. I want to listen. I want to incorporate your ideas and feedback. For now on, this isn't just my diner. It's ours. A soft murmur of approval rippled through the space, but there still lingered a hint of doubt. Jack's intentions were a newfound treasure, but would this wait last, or would it drift away like too many dreams before? If we're going to trust you, Sarah said, her voice steady yet vulnerable, you have to commit to the long haul. This can't be a one-time thing. I understand, Jack replied, his tone earnest. This is just the beginning. The dim light in the diner seemed to shine just a bit brighter, almost as if answering the call for a new beginning. Sarah felt a sense of unity swelling around them, but it was mixed with a hint of hesitation. Their walls were starting to crack, but could they truly let them fall? Just then, the bell rang, and outside, storm clouds darkened the sky, swirling ominously as if reflecting the uncertainty in her heart. Was this the beginning of a new legacy, or just another fleeting moment in a long line of disappointments? Let us take advantage of this moment, the journalist said, snapping photos. This has the makings of a story that might just inspire your whole community. As he continued to click away, Sarah's heart raced. The light of possibility shone through the darkening clouds, revealing a flicker of potential on the horizon. But as she glanced back at Jack, the question lingered in her mind. Was it truly possible for them all to open their hearts again? And as the diner began to close around them, the looming storm outside mirrored her thought. What would happen when the rain finally fell? Would they weather the storm together, or would it wash everything away? The energy in the diner felt electric, but as the storm clouds roiled outside, an uneasy tension settled over the group. Sarah could feel it like a weight in her stomach. She stole another glance at Jack, who was animatedly discussing the logistics with Tom and Anna. There was a slight crease in his brow, a hint of vulnerability unmasked by the bravado he wore. All right, everyone. Jack clapped his hands, drawing the group's attention. Let us set a date for this potluck. We can make it happen in 2 weeks. It'll give everyone enough time to prepare and maybe create some buzz in the community. Excitement surged through Sarah again, but it fought with her apprehensions. 2 weeks. Could it really happen? Would he really commit to this? And would her co-workers see the change as he claimed? Mia leaned in closer to Sarah. What do you think? Are we really buying into the idea that this is going to change anything? Her skepticism mingled with curiosity, reflecting Sarah's own insecurities. I guess we'll see, Sarah replied, her voice soft. Actions speak louder than words. Suddenly, the door swung open loudly, and the ding of the bell seemed to echo in the sudden stillness that filled the room. A tall figure stepped in, shaking off rain from his coat. It was Charlie, the local handyman and quite the character in town. He always knew everyone's gossip, but had this uncanny ability to lighten any mood. Sorry I'm late. Figured I'd bring a little rain with me. Charlie joked, his grin infectious. Laughter cut through the tension, and Sarah felt that warmth creep back. Charlie's got away with words, Jack said, laughing along, but there was an underlying tension behind his smile that didn't go unnoticed by Sarah. Just thought I'd drop in and see what this fuss is about, Charlie continued, looking around, his blue eyes twinkling. Community potluck? Count me in. I'll make the best cornbread this side of the Mississippi. The group cheered, the excitement bubbling up again, and for a moment, Sarah felt a sense of safety in the communal laughter. Perfect, Jack exclaimed. Let's make a list. Everyone here needs to bring something. We'll need decorations, maybe a theme. As the group brainstormed, Sarah's heart fluttered with hope for the first time in a long while. There was a sense of belonging in that very moment, a connection threading between them all. But then, with a crack of thunder outside, the lights flickered. A gust of wind swept through, rattling the windows. Jack's smile faltered for just a moment as shadows danced across his face. "I think the storm's about to break," he said, glancing outside with a furrowed brow. "Just like our plans, huh?" Mia murmured, only half joking, her gaze fixed on the darkening sky. "We need to embrace it," Sarah interjected, feeling an urgency to keep the positivity alive. "Rain or shine, we're going to pull this off, and we'll do it together. It's about making this diner more than just a stop for food. It's about family." Jack's eyes met hers, glimmering with something deeper. "Exactly," he said, and this time his voice was steady, more grounded. "No matter what happens outside, we decide what happens in here." Just as she nodded, a deafening clap of thunder shook the diner lights, blinked, and abruptly went out, leaving them enveloped in darkness. Gasps echoed through the room, but Sarah could barely focus on the fear. She steadied herself, her heart pounding. "There's still hope," she whispered, her breath escaping her in a rush. "We're all together. We can still make this work." In that moment, with the storm raging outside, they found themselves facing an unexpected question. How would they navigate the tempest, not just of the weather, but of their own doubts and fears? The silence stretched, shattered only by the rain pouring against the windows, each drop adding to the weight of their unspoken thoughts. Would they rise together as a cohesive unit, or would the storm of uncertainty drown their resolve? As they fumbled for their phones, hoping for a glimpse of light, the air was thick with anticipation. Would the darkness reveal who they truly were? And when morning came, would their potluck still be a dream worth fighting for? The darkness was almost suffocating. Sarah felt the weight of the room pressing in on her. She strained her ears, trying to discern the sounds around her, the murmurings of confusion, the worried whispers inching through the group. Jack's voice cut through the haze. "Everyone, let us stay calm. We've been through worse, right?" His attempt at cheerfulness trembled a little, but it still sparked a flicker of resolve within Sarah. "Let us keep talking," Mia said, her voice steady. "We can still plan the potluck. We don't need lights to do that." "Good idea," Jack replied, though she could hear the strain in his tone. "Sarah, what do you think about choosing a theme? Something fun that'll bring people together?" The thought lingered in Sarah's mind for a moment as boards creaked and the wind howled outside. "How about a comfort food theme?" she suggested. It felt fitting for a diner, a way to remind them of home amidst the storm. "We can each represent our own culture." "Perfect," Mia cheered, her voice booming. It was infectious, prompting others to chime in with their ideas. They gathered in that intimate little huddle, the raw energy between them lighting a fire. But just as conversations began to flow, a loud crash from outside startled them. Wind howled, rattling windows once more in protest. Sarah's heart raced. "What was that?" "Just the storm," Jack said, but there was an edge in his voice that didn't quite convince her. It was not just nature they were facing. It was the very core of their hopes hanging on a fragile thread. "Let us check it out," Tom suggested, ever the bold one. A collective nod ensured the group followed, shuffling carefully to the windows. Fumbling for phone flashlights, they peered out through the smeared glass to survey the chaos around them. To their shock, a large tree branch had fallen, blocking the diner's entrance. Gasps erupted, and a wave of despair flowed through the group. Sarah felt her heart sink. Their potluck plans felt paper-thin now, crushed under the weight of unforeseen circumstances. "We have to clear that," Jack shouted over the din of the rain. His eyes sparkled with determination. "There's no way we're letting a little wind bring us down." "Is that really safe?" Anna asked, her tone betraying her apprehension. "Together, we can do anything," he assured. "This is our community. We have to show up for it." A sudden fire ignited inside Sarah. Jack's steadfastness stirred something deep within her. She stepped forward, the fear dissipating into resolute commitment. "Let us do it. We can't let the storm win. If we don't get some of us outside to clear it, the potluck will be doomed before it begins." The urgency pulled her and the others closer together. They began to rally, a noisy mix of chatter and laughter cutting through the despair. One by one, they gathered tools and supplies, flickering flashlights illuminating determined faces. As they prepared to venture into the storm, Sarah's heart did a flip. Maybe this wasn't just about the potluck. Maybe it was about the community binding together, proving to themselves they could fight against anything, even if it was just a heavy gust of wind. Her thoughts wandered for a moment, a sense of belonging blooming inside her. This was why she stayed. This was what she fought for. As they approached the door, Jack turned to her, his expression serious but filled with warmth. "Whatever happens next, I need you to know you matter in all of this." His words wrapped around her like a comforting blanket. There was something raw and genuine in that shared look, a glimmer of hope amidst the storm. But in that moment, as the wind whipped around them and the door creaked ominously, a new thought emerged. Was this fight the turning point they all needed? Or would the storm prove too overwhelming to conquer? Outside, the rain pelted down like tiny fists, and the wind howled like a living beast, ready to challenge them. With trepidation and exhilaration, they cracked open the door, stepping into the unknown, wondering whether they were ready for what lay ahead. What awaited them on the stormy streets? Would their resolve hold against the tempest's fury? The moment they stepped outside, a fierce burst of wind hit them, nearly knocking Sarah off her feet. She braced herself against the doorframe, smiling at the absurdity of it all. 5 of them stood together at the threshold, drenched but willing to fight the storm, united in purpose. The air around them crackled with both excitement and fear. Jack stepped into the downpour, his face set with determination. "All right, team, let us tackle that branch." He gestured toward the fallen limb, now a stubborn barrier between them and the world outside the diner. Gathering their courage, they moved forward, squinting through the sheets of rain. Tom lifted his flashlight, casting its beam at the thick trunk blocking their way. It felt both daunting and strangely empowering. "On 3, Jack called, and everyone nodded, pressing closer together. 1, 2, 3. With a united push, they heaved against the branch, muscles straining and hearts racing. Sarah grunted as the wind whipped around them, tugging at her clothes. She caught a glance at Mia, who grinned even as she struggled, the corner of her mouth upturned in defiance. "Come on, we've got this," Mia shouted, her voice almost lost in the storm's wail. In a moment of collective effort, the branch shifted slightly, sending a surge of hope coursing through them. Again, Jack shouted, his eyes sparkling with determination. They rallied again, pushing with all their might, the rain drenching them to the bone. After a laborious few minutes, the branch finally rolled aside with a satisfying thud. Breathless, they looked at each other, faces lit up with disbelief and joy. They had done it. The path was clear. "See? Together we can do anything." Jack's voice rang out, a triumphant declaration against the howl of the wind. But even as their spirits soared, a sudden crack of thunder echoed ominously above them, a reminder of nature's lingering wrath. Sarah looked up, her heart pounding not from exertion, but from fear. The storm was not done with them yet. "Let us hurry. The garage door might be next," Tom shouted, pointing toward the diner. They sprinted back inside, slipping on wet floors as they crossed through the door. Inside, a new sense of urgency swirled around them. What if more branches fall? Anna fretted, twisting her hair nervously. The energy they had built was slowly replaced with an unsettling weight. "We need to secure the place," Jack said, clapping his hands together. "Grab whatever you can find. We can use tables, chairs, anything to block the doors and windows." They need a hold. In a chaotic flurry, they set to work, moving furniture with surprising speed. Sarah felt the chaos surrounding her, but Jack's earlier words echoed in her mind. Whatever happened next, they were together, and that was something she didn't want to overlook. As Sarah pushed a chair against the window, she caught sight of Mia stealing glances at Jack, her admiration evident. Was it just the adrenaline, or was there something deeper brewing between them? A seed of curiosity planted in Sarah's mind, distracting her from the pounding storm outside. Suddenly, the door rattled loudly, shaking the silence that found its way inside amid the frenzy. The group froze, holding their breaths. What was that? Someone whispered, fear creeping into the air again. Was it just the wind, or was there something lurking outside amidst the madness? With heartbeats quickening, they exchanged nervous looks, the atmosphere thickening with uncertainty. Would they stand strong together once more, or would this be the moment the storm broke them apart? The door rattled again, louder this time, vibrating on its hinges like it was alive. Sarah's heart raced. Glancing at the others, she caught a hint of fear mirrored in their wide eyes. Maybe it is just the wind, Anna suggested, her voice shaky. Right? But Tom shook his head, resolve hardening in his gaze. I don't think we should wait to find out. Jack stepped forward, his voice steady. Let us check it out, but we do it together. No one goes alone. Nods all around reinforced that unspoken commitment, their unity against the storm and whatever it might throw at them. They moved cautiously, the sound of wind howling outside, mingling with the echoes of their footsteps. Jack led the way, pushing the diner door open just a crack. The storm was merciless, but there was something else, an unease in the air that made the hairs on Sarah's neck prickle. Okay, on three again, Jack said, glancing over his shoulder, his brows furrowed. 1, 2, 3. With a grunt, he swung the door wide, revealing the chaotic fury of nature. Rain lashed at their faces like stinging needles, and the wind screamed a warning. Yet, there in the downpour, they saw a figure standing at the edge of the parking lot, umbrella torn away by the gusts. The floodlights from the diner caught the silhouette, and recognition dawned. Wait, is that? Mia started, her voice rising in disbelief. Yeah, Tom answered, squinting through the rain. It's Mr. Davidson. The wealthy owner of the diner seemed completely out of place, his designer clothes drenched and clinging to him. He looked more furious than frightened, and his eyes darted around like he was searching for something or someone. Get back in. It's dangerous, Jack shouted, though it was almost lost in the roar of the tempest. But Mr. Davidson didn't seem to hear. He stomped forward, leaving a trail of water splashing behind him, face set with an intensity they had never witnessed. You think I'm just going to stand back while this place goes up in flames? He bellowed, eyes flashing. Anger and desperation combined into something compelling. Murmurs broke out behind Jack. What does he mean? Anna asked, her voice tight with concern. I don't know, Jack replied, filled with uncertainty. But we need to bring him in. It's not safe out there. As they hesitated, another crack of thunder rolled, shaking the windows. Now, Jack yelled, breaking the spell of confusion. He darted outside, grabbing Mr. Davidson's arm and pulling him toward the door. The others followed, forming a barrier against the elements, forcing him inside. The storm screeched angrily, but their attention shifted as they gathered in the diner, dripping and bewildered. They stepped back, creating a small circle around Mr. Davidson, waiting for him to say something, anything. I was out checking the roofs. He stammered, breathless. I can't let the storm destroy what I built. In that moment of vulnerability, something shifted. The rage that had colored Mr. Davidson's face began to fade, replaced with an overwhelming weight of responsibility. Suddenly, Sarah could see the man behind the business, a man terrified of losing not just the building, but the family they all had built inside it. Mr. Davidson, Sarah began, her voice steady yet compassionate. You don't have to do this alone. We're all in this together. But the weight of that statement hung heavy in the air, poised to change everything as silence enveloped them. Each person stared at their employer, at once a leader and very human. Would he accept their offer of teamwork? Or would he push them away, leaving them standing amid the storm alone? In that looming question, hope and fear danced on a knife's edge, waiting for the next revelation to determine their fate. Mr. Davidson's eyes flicked over each of them, searching, weighing their words like stones on a scale. There was a long pause, thick with tension. The wind howled outside as if it, too, was waiting for his decision. You really think we can do something about it? Mr. Davidson's voice trembled, a fracture forming in his previously fierce facade. Sarah sensed the vulnerability breaking through, and it made her heart race with hope. Of course, Jack answered calmly, stepping closer. We're a team. Whatever happens, we face it together, just as you've taught us. Mr. Davidson's gaze softened for the briefest of moments. His walls, built up over the years, showed the slightest crack, revealing a troubled spirit that had toiled under the weight of expectation. But it's my responsibility, my legacy, he murmured, almost to himself. Which is why you need us, Anna offered, her voice coming from somewhere deep with conviction. You've built something worthwhile here, and it's worth saving. Together. A flash of lightning illuminated the diner, brightening the faces filled with determination. The flickering light brought out a raw honesty in their expressions, one that felt contagious, stirring something deep within Mr. Davidson. All right, his breath caught, and he nodded slowly, almost reluctantly. All right, but how? Tom was quick to respond, excitement bubbling within him. We can check the back rooms, ensure everything is secure. We'll do what needs to be done from the roof to the kitchen. We'll keep the diner safe. Sarah mirrored Tom's enthusiasm, sensing the dawning realization on Mr. Davidson's face. We'll split up into teams, check the important areas, and report back. We can't let fear stop us. For a moment, Mr. Davidson's expression shifted. He was weighing their bravery against his fears, an internal battle brewing as he surveyed the group. Sarah could see his heart battling hope against the weight of responsibility. Okay, he finally conceded, a hint of resolve igniting in his voice. Let us get to work. But we need a plan, and we need to move quickly before the storm gets worse. Each of them nodded, a shared energy flowing among the group. It was a powerful reminder that despite the storm outside, they had each other. As the group discussed their strategy, Sarah could feel a shift in the air. Mr. Davidson, no longer just a distant figure above them, began to emerge as a partner in the struggle. The divide between boss and employees started to fade to Sarah. He was just another person fighting for the diner, for its heart, for the community. Jack eyed the door, the wind still howling angrily beyond it. Let us get moving. Stay close to each other. We don't want to get separated in this mess. Before they could head out, a sudden, terrible crash echoed from outside. The diner shook as if it could wrench apart under the storm's fury. Instinctively, everyone turned toward the sound, hearts in their throats. What was that? Mia breathed, eyes wide with fear. That sounded like it came from the roof, Mr. Davidson muttered, his resolve slipping back in a panic. A heavy pause followed, and all eyes fixed on the door, uncertainty swirling with urgency. Should we check it out? Anna asked, her voice shaky again. We can't just leave it. Mr. Davidson snapped, his earlier vulnerability replaced by a desperate determination. If the roof is damaged, we could lose everything. Jack took a deep breath. Then we go. Together. As they moved towards the door, each one of them shared a glance, a silent pact reaffirmed in the midst of the storm. Fear was still there, but so was courage, and it surged through their blood like electricity. With the storm still raging, they stepped back out into the tempest, hearts racing, ready to confront whatever awaited them. But just as they crossed the threshold, another sound broke through the storm, a scream, piercing the chaos like a knife. What was that? Sarah gasped, fear gripping her. Before they could turn back, an unexpected figure stumbled into view, drenched and muddied, eyes wide in terror. The storm wasn't done with them yet, and whatever was coming next, it promised to change everything. The diner's doors swung open wildly, and just as the wind howled in, the terrified figure stepped forward, a woman, soaked to the bone, clinging desperately to the doorframe. Help, please, she cried, her voice trembling with panic. Sarah's heart dropped. She rushed toward the woman, arms wide, allowing a sense of warmth to contrast the fierce coldness of the storm. You're safe now, Sarah coaxed, taking the woman's arm gently. The others gathered, expressions shifting to concern as they collectively blinked away their shock. Quick, get her a towel, Jack shouted, issuing orders as if he were back in the diner managing a busy Saturday lunch rush. But this was different. This was chaos. Mia hurried off towards the back room, while Tom dashed to grab blankets. Sarah's eyes remained fixated on the woman's face, showered in fear but softened by relief. "What happened?" she whispered, their connection almost magnetic despite the chaos swirling around them. "Tree fell on my car. It's south blocking the road. I had to run." I thought the woman stammered, her breath hitching as tears joined the rain on her cheeks. "I thought I wouldn't make it." In that moment, Sarah felt a rush of solidarity. This was not just about their diner. This was about their community. A community facing adversity hand in hand. "Let us go get her somewhere dry," Jack commanded, leading the way toward the corner booth, moving with purpose. "We'll figure out how to help you." The others circled back, blankets and towels in hand, ready to ensure the woman felt safe. As they wrapped her in warmth, it was as though a connection surged through them, one of shared humanity, shared struggles. Suddenly, a sharp crack of lighting illuminated the diner, and a gust of wind seeped in, shoving its way around the corners. It felt like the storm was vying for attention, clamoring against their collective hope. Moving up to Jack, Sarah whispered urgently, "What if we can't help her? What if things keep getting worse?" Jack turned, the spark of determination igniting in his eyes. "We have each other, and we're stronger together. We help one person, then we can help the next. It's how we rise." His words sparked something deep in Sarah. She could feel it, an undeniable wave of resilience buoying her spirits. Seeing Jack so determined gave her hope, and she could see in the others that they were all stepping into a new reality, one where they were linked by struggles larger than themselves. Mr. Davidson had gathered beside them, concern etched across his brow. "We need to clear the road," he said. "Once we help her, we can only guide more people to safety. This storm doesn't wait." The weight of that dawned on Sarah. They could either cower under the storm's fury or rise up together and make an impact. "Okay, let us do it," she shouted, her voice a clarion call. The energy shifted the diner, filled with purpose. "Let us split into teams," Tom suggested, adrenaline coursing through him. "One group circles back to check for more people who might need help. Another stays here with her and makes sure she's okay." With quick nods, they solidified their plan. As they moved into action, the urgency electrified their movements. The storm may roar, but together they thrived. Within moments, Sarah rushed toward the door with Jack, adrenaline thrumming in her veins. "Stay cautious. We'll keep eyes on you," they shouted back to the others. Stepping out into the relentless rain felt surreal, as they became two silhouettes against the backdrop of the tempest. The air was thick, alive, and bursting with anxious energy. They didn't know if they'd find more souls caught in the storm, or if forces beyond their control would test their newfound unity. The streets were battered, water rising fast as they walked cautiously toward the sound of crashing branches and panic calling. And there, blocking their way, lay a massive branch down, a casualty of the tumult. Sarah felt the fear creep back in, but she couldn't allow it to overwhelm her. "Together," echoed in her mind like a mantra. She locked eyes with Jack, and they both positioned their arms to lift. Heart pounding, they gathered their resolve. "On three," Jack shouted over the din. "1, 2, 3. Together they strained against the wood, pushing with every ounce of strength. It shifted slightly, and as they found their rhythm, laughter bubbled up from within them at that moment. The storm was irrelevant. They were fierce. They were unstoppable. With one final collective shout, they managed to shove the branch aside. "We did it!" Sarah screamed, feeling exhilaration flood through her. Jack turned to her, joy dancing in his eyes. "See? I told you we're stronger together." But as they caught their breath, a shrill scream echoed through the loud storm, a reminder that their work was just beginning. It fueled their purpose even more. With newfound determination pulsing in their hearts, they pressed on against the chaos, ready to reach out not just for themselves, but for every person drawn into the aftermath of the storm. No one was invisible anymore, not in this moment, not ever. Back at the diner, the remaining group tended to the woman, who was now wrapped tightly in the soft blankets. The former isolation they felt began to fade, replaced by an unquenchable warmth of connection. This storm had sparked something different among them, a unity that felt like a family born from struggle. A few moments passed, but then hope broke through the storm clouds. The skies began to clear, and at the edge of the horizon, rays of sunlight fought through. As the storm began to relent, they understood this wasn't just about surviving the storm. It was about coming together, creating bridges where once there were riptides. "I think we've turned a corner," Sarah said, looking around, seeing everything: the shared laughter, the bonds forged in struggle, the healing process of reconciliation. "Yes, and there's a lot of rebuilding to look forward to," Jack replied, his voice steady and sincere, filled with possibilities for the diner ahead. The storm may have thrown chaos into their lives, but also carved a path for unity that connected them all. Now, with each step forward, they solidified who they were meant to be, a family not defined by shadows but lit up by their unwavering strength. So, as the sun finally broke free, illuminating their diner, they stood together, a newfound sense of purpose glowing warmly within them. This story wasn't just about Jack or Sarah. It was about the collective, a community rebuilt from chaos, with every hopeful heart beating as one. And as they returned to the diner, each soul lifting the next, the sense of belonging wrapped around them, sealing their resolve. If they could brave the storm together, then surely they could weather anything life tossed their way again. You need to subscribe now to not miss the next exclusive stories. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and let our family grow. Comment below your reactions and feelings about this roller coaster of an ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. We're building something truly special here. Don't wait, not even one more second.